regarding dun sa chapter 9 na diniscuss natin. Meron ba? So, wala daw. Okay. So, kung wala, we'll proceed to the new lecture, okay, which is chapter Moment of Inertia. Okay. Sige, wala daw. Sige, let's start. Okay. So chapter 10 is Moments of Inertia. Okay. So, for chapter objectives, we need to develop a method for determining the second and third objective will not be included in our discussion kasi ano naman siya, the application for civil engineering is very limited. Okay? So we'll focus more on the first objective, which is to develop a method for determining the moment of inertia for an area. Okay. So 10.1, definition. Okay. So whenever a distributed load acts perpendicular to an area and its density varies linearly, the calculation of the moment of the loading about an axis will involve an integral of the form integral of y squared. So the integral y squared dA is sometimes referred to as the second moment of the area about an axis, but more often it is called the moment of inertia of the area. Okay, so say differential dA, so you multiply y distance, which is the moment arm for dA about the x-axis, so that is the first moment of area, and multiplying this moment arm y second time around to the differential, okay, so that is the second moment of area, okay, and getting the integral of that, it will give you the moment of inertia of the area. So moment of inertia is just simply the second principle of the first moment of area, so why not, that is the principle of the location of the centroid. So moment of inertia, so by definition, the moments of inertia of a differential area dA of x and y axis are dix equal to y squared dA and diy is equal to x squared dA. Naka-record po yung, okay? So, respectively. So, for example, okay, so this is your differential area dA. So, double check ko nga para sure. Okay, naka-record, nag-record yung lecture, no? So, for example, this is your differential area dA. So, what is the moment arm of dA about the x-axis? So, that is y. Eh, di ba by definition, moment of moment of area, okay? So, yung dA, so multiplied by y, multiplied by y. Okay? So, that is, and that second moment of area of dA about the x-axis of inertia. Okay, so in the same manner, so if dA will be multiplied by its moment arm twice, okay, so that is x squared dA, so that is the moment of inertia about the lang. Okay, so if you want to get the moment of inertia for the entire area, it can be determined by integration. Say Ix, okay, the moment of inertia integral of y squared dA, while Iy is equal to integral of x squared dA. So take note, it is in the domain of the area. So formulate this quantity for dA about the pole O or the z-axis. So this is referred to as the polar moment of inertia. So meaning, if you want to get the moment of inertia plane xy, it will give you the polar moment of inertia. Okay, or it is called the polar moment of inertia. Okay, so it is defined as dJO is equal to r squared dA from the pole or the z-axis to the element dA. So for the entire area, the polar moment of inertia is JO is equal to integral of r squared dA in the domain of the area, which is also equal to Ix plus Iy. Okay, but this relation between GO and Ix and Iy is possible since r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Okay, so if you're going to figure, it will form a right triangle where this base x and with a height y. Okay, so take note, R is the hypotenuse. So if you have a right triangle, using Pythagorean theorem, you can get the relationship between R, X, and Y, and that is this equation, R squared equal to X squared plus Y squared. Okay? Then, if we're going to replace R squared here by the equivalent X squared of the previous equation, okay? So we have integral of X squared plus Y squared dA, but we know integral of X squared dA is IY, and integral of Y squared dA is IX. So therefore, integral of X squared dA plus integral of Y squared dA will give you IX plus IY. Okay, and that is the polar moment of inertia, or the moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the plane containing the area. Okay? So next, from the above formulations, it is seen that Ix, Iy, and Jo will always be positive since they involve the product of distance squared and area. So furthermore, the units for moment of inertia involve length raised to the fourth power, say m into the fourth, millimeters to the fourth, or inches to the fourth. Okay, so meaning, since the formula for the moment of inertia is I is equal to integral of y squared dA, so sabihin, that is the product of area multiplied by a square of a distance. Okay, so sabihin, the unit for moment of inertia will be in fourth power. Okay, but physically, okay, you cannot imagine yung moment of inertia. Yung moment, kunwari, you have an area. So you know that area is like this one. Okay, so that's the area. Okay, then, and that is say in meter squared. Then if you want m cube, what do you have? A volume. Okay, so may volume ka, then that is the volume and m cube. But what is m to the fourth? What is the physical manifestation of meters to the fourth? Well, wala siyang physical manifestation, okay, but it's more on theoretical, okay, that you have a moment of inertia. Okay, so pagdating natin in the latter discussions on mechanics of deformable bodies, you will encounter the moment of inertia. But for now, okay, what you need to learn is how to determine the moment of inertia for a given area. Okay? So let's do the parallax theorem for an area. So the parallel axis theorem can be used to find the moment of inertia of an area about any axis that is parallel to an axis passing through the centroid and also the area. So in formula, okay, the parallel axis theorem is this. So Ix is equal to I bar x prime plus a dy squared. So what is I bar x prime and this product a dy squared? So the I bar x prime here is the moment of inertia, okay, about an axis passing through the centroid, okay, which is parallel, okay, to the reference axis where you are getting the moment of inertia. For example, you want to get the moment of inertia about the x-axis here. Okay? So you need to pass an axis through the centroid parallel to this x-axis. And this x-axis is your x prime axis. Okay? Then yung I bar x prime here, that is the moment of inertia about this x prime axis. So meaning, I bar x prime, okay, is the centroid moment of inertia of the area. Okay? So that is the moment of inertia about the axis passing through the centroid. Okay? Then, meron kang second term which is called the transfer term. In other references, the parallel axis theorem is being called the transfer formula for moment of inertia. Okay? Then we have this transfer term which is equal to the product of the area times the square of the distance dy. Okay? But what is the distance dy? So actually, the distance dy is the distance between the two parallel axes. Okay? So if this is the reference axis, this is the parallel axis, the distance between them, the perpendicular distance between them is dy. Okay? But for easier understanding of dy, okay, para mas madaling sabihin, yung dy is the distance of the centroid, okay? Perpendicular distance nung centroid of the area to the reference axis where you are getting the value of moment of inertia. Okay? So that is dy. Okay, so we have ix equal to I bar x prime plus a dy squared. Okay, while iy, the moment of inertia about iy using also the parallel axis theorem is equal to the moment of inertia about the x-axis. is I bar y prime plus a dx. So yung I bar y prime, that is the moment of inertia about the centroidal y prime axis, and plus the transfer term, the area, the total area multiplied by dx is the distance, perpendicular distance between the two parallel axes, or the distance, perpendicular distance of the centroid to the reference axis where you are getting the value of the moment of inertia. So, and JO, okay, so JO is the moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular to the plane, and that is equal to J bar C plus AD squared, where J bar C is the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis. Okay? Then the transfer term is area times d squared. So that is also the distance of the centroid to the axis perpendicular. Okay? So yun lang. So by definition, so the form of each of the three equations states that the moment of inertia for an area about an axis equals moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through the area centroid plus the product of the area and the square of the perpendicular distance between the axes. So yun na nga yung formula. Okay, so kumbaga, if you don't memorize the formula, you just need to understand the principle of the parallel axis theorem, which is this. Okay, so yun. So next, 10.1, radius of area. So the radius of gyration of an area about an axis has units of length and is a quantity that is often used for the design of columns in structural mechanics. So provided radii of gyration are determined from the formulas kx is equal to square root of ix over a, ky is equal to square root of iy over a, and ko is equal to square root of j over a. Or of gyration is just equal to the square root of the moment of inertia over the area. Okay, so that's the radius of gyration. Then if you use of the radius of gyration, it will be used when it comes to design. Okay, so sabi nga niya, in the design of columns, because the radius of gyration has an effect on columns. So you cannot understand it now, okay, but soon. Okay, I know may encounter nyo din yung radius of gyration. Okay, so the form of this equation is easily remembered since it is similar to that for finding the moment of inertia for a differential area about axis. So for example, so Ix is just equal to Kx squared A, whereas for a differential area, Dix is equal to Y. So the form of these two equations are quite similar. Okay? So, okay, para maintindihan natin yung mga principles na nasabi na yan, let's have an example. So, sample problem 10.1. Determine the moment of inertia for a rectangular area of space b and height h with respect to A, the centroidal x prime axis, B, the axis B rectangle, and C, the pole or the z prime axis perpendicular to the x prime y prime plane and passing through the centroid C. Okay? So, ano sabi niyan? So, say this is the rectangular area that we have with base B and height h. Okay, the centroid is determined and it is here. Okay, at B over 2 and h over 2. And we are looking for the moment of inertia for letter A, for part A. We are looking for the moment of inertia about the centroidal x prime axis. Ito. Okay, so for part A, let's solve for the moment of inertia for the x prime axis. Okay, so what are we going to do is we'll choose a rectangular strip like this one. Okay, so the thing is dy prime, while the distance from of the centroid of this area from the x prime axis is, let's call it y prime. Okay, so I bar x prime now is equal to integral of y prime squared dA. Okay? So from ix equal to integral of y squared dA. So it's just the same. Kasi yung axis mo lang dito naging x prime. Okay? So I prime x prime squared dA, which is equal to integral of y prime squared times dA is b times dy. Because the base is b and the height is dy prime. Okay, so the limit for the area about the y prime axis is from this point up to that point, which is what? At negative h over 2, negative h over 2, h over So that's why we have it here. Okay? So yung b is constant, so you can put it outside the integral sign, and now that is equal to b times the integral dy prime from negative h over 2 to h over 2. Okay, then from there, you can solve for I bar x prime equal to 1 over 12 bh cubed. So that's the answer. So do you have questions? May questions ba? So mukhang question. Let's proceed to part B. So for part B, you are looking for, or we are looking for the moment of inertia about this XB axis. So actually, you can solve by also applying integrals. Okay? But we'll use another method, which is the parallel axis theorem. Okay? So if you can recall, the parallel axis theorem states the moment of inertia about any axis is equal to, okay, so ito the moment of inertia about any axis. So in this case, XB axis. Okay? The moment of inertia of an area about is equal to the centroidal moment of inertia, which is na-solve natin. Ito yon, centroidal moment of inertia, plus the transfer term A dy. Formula nyo. So IXB is equal to I bar x prime plus A times dy squared. So yung I bar x prime, this is the centroidal moment of inertia, is 1, okay, plus the transfer term area B times dy h over 2 squared. So what is dy? So dy is the distance of the center of the reference axis where you are getting the moment of inertia. So this is dy. And from the figure, dy is what? H over 2. Okay? So by simplifying this, we have IXB equal to 1/3 BH cubed. Okay? 1/3 BH cubed. Then for part, we are looking for the moment of inertia about the axis, perpendicular axis passing through the centroid. Okay? Say let's call it Z prime. Okay? So how can we determine the value of Z prime? So previous discussions, okay, ang sinabi, okay, J is equal to IX plus IY. Okay? So ibig sabihin, your J about the Z prime axis is prime plus I bar Y prime. Okay? But the question is, what is the value of I bar Y prime? Okay? So you can solve for bar Y prime by integral. Okay? So say you use a vertical strip like this one. Okay? Ang width of the strip is say dx prime. The centroid of the area about the y prime axis is x prime. Say. Okay? So you can solve for I y r I bar, which is equal to what? That is equal to integral of x prime squared dA. Okay? But we know dA from here is the area of the strip, which is h times dx prime. Okay? So ano ang limits natin? Okay, for x prime, for the area. That is from this point up to that point. So from negative to b over 2. Okay, so this is from negative b over 2 to b over 2. Okay, so yung h is constant. So pwede mo yung ilabas yan. Then, evaluating this integral, okay, it will give you the almost a similar result. So I bar y prime will be equal to 1 over 12 times h times b. Okay? So yun. So I bar y prime is equal to 1 over 12 times h times b cubed. Okay? So that is by integral or by simple a rectangle, okay, with base b and height h here. What is the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis na ito? Okay? So yun yung 1 Okay? Now, if I have a rectangle na paganito, okay? Tapos ito yung axis. Okay? So, kung ito ay B, ito ay H, what is the of angle? So, it's still the same. I bar x prime is equal to 1 over 12 BH cube. Okay? So, meaning, if I change the dimensions here, ay gawin kong H and gawin ko tong B, what is the moment of inertia? So, it becomes 1 over 12 times H times B cube. Okay? So, sabihin, kasi kung ano mo naman in, okay? And if this is the x prime axis, this is the y prime axis. So, it's more on 1 over 12 times base times height cube. Okay? So, if base, this is the height. Okay, so BH cube over 12. So if this is the base and this is the height, so H times B cube over 12 for I bar Y prime. Okay? So yun. Now, and I bar Y prime, you and solve for J bar C. Okay? So that is equal to the sum of I bar X prime and I bar Y prime. So that value is times H squared plus B squared. Okay? And that's the answer. So, do you have questions? Wala. Wala ng question. Nasusundan naman. Inaantok naman. Okay. So, means yes. Naniniwala pa rin naman ako doon. No? So, wala kayong question. Okay? So, ito, just a simple idea kung paano gumagana si moment of inertia. Okay? One of the examples na nagagamit si moment of inertia. Okay? So, I have a question for you. Okay? Alam niyo yung ruler na orange, flexible na ruler. Okay? Or Joy, depende sa brand na binili mo. Okay? Say, ito yung cross-section ng ruler. Cross-section niya. Na-imagine nyo. Pahaba siya pag gano'n na, ruler. Tapos, ito yung isa niyang cross-section. Yan. We are talking about a same ruler. Ayan. Okay? So, this is A, this is B. May question yata. Oh, i-upload po sa MS Teams. Okay? So, with respect to a horizontal axis passing through the centroids of these both rectangles, which one do you think will give moment of inertia? Is it A or B? Which one do you think will give a higher value of moment of inertia? Both are rectangles, okay? And both are getting the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis, horizontal centroidal axis. So based on the okay, which one will give a higher value of moment of inertia? Is it rectangle A or rectangle B? Hmm. Di ba? 50 yan, no? Okay. Salamat sa partisipasyon. So, ano tayo, di sana nag-recorded video na lang tayo. Okay, so may nagsagot, may nag-share. Si Christian Asuncion, sabi niya A. Si Tampilik, so A. Okay, so that's correct. It's A. Okay, kasi take note, the formula for the moment of inertia for rectangle is 1 over 12 times B times H. So take note, in this rectangle, ito yung B, ito yung H. For this one, this is the B, this is H. Okay? Since the formula is 1 over 12B times H cube, okay? Although the but yung h mahaba. And take note, yung h yung i-cube. Okay? So definitely, the value of the moment of inertia for A will be greater than, okay, much greater, okay, compared to B. Okay? The moment of inertia. Okay? So what? Okay, so what do I get nung nalaman kong mas malaki yung moment of inertia no compared to B? Now, imagine the ruler, the actual ruler. Yan, pa ganyan. Okay? Nandito yung mga sukat-sukat. Ganyan. Okay. Try to bend the ruler. Ganyan. Or kahit imagine na lang. Or this one. Okay. Ihiga ko yung ruler pa ganyan. Okay. Nakapahiga na. Hirap mag-drawing eh. Try nating ihiga yung ruler. Yung same ruler ng paganyan. Okay. Tapos i-bend ko din pa ganyan. Okay. So, this is A. This is B. Okay. Daling mag-bend. Yung A or yung B?
A po.
Madaling mag-bend? Madaling i-bend?
B po, sir. B.
Ay, yung B po. Yung
B. Diba? Mas madaling i-bend yung B. Why? Because moment of inertia is resisting bending. Okay? So, sabihin, if you have a cross-section with a high moment of inertia, okay, the resistance to bending will be higher also. Okay? So, ayun. Kaya that's why, since mas malaki yung moment of inertia nito compared to this one, compared to this one. Nakuha? Okay? So, that is one of the applications of moment of inertia. Okay? So, pagdating natin ng mga chapter 5 ng mechanics of deformed bodies, you will encounter again the moment of inertia and how it affects a cross-section, okay, in designing members, for example. So, ayun na, hindi lang kayo solve. At least may idea kayo ano ba yung purpose of determining the moment of inertia. Okay? There are also applications in moment of inertia in fluid mechanics. Okay? So, ayun. So, may question pa ba? Before I proceed to the next example.
Wala na po ata, sir.
wala na po, sir.
Okay. So, kung wala, let's proceed to the next two. So, determine the moment of inertia for the shaded area shown about the x-axis. Okay? So, this is the area, shaded area. Sulatan. This is the area curve. Okay, has an equation of y squared is equal to 400x. Okay? Then, this point here, okay, is arbitrary. Okay? Okay, nasa point siya. Coordinates niya ay x and y. Okay? Then if we're going to choose a rectangular strip like this one, the height of this is dy and the length will be y kasi yung base na to is 100 and this distance is x. So natira is 100 minus x. Okay? Then to determine the moment of inertia, okay, that will be equal to yung dA natin is base times height. So 100 minus x times height dy. Okay? So Ix is equal to y is equal to integral of y squared times 100 minus x times dy. Okay? So the limit for the area about the y-axis is from 0. Okay? That's why we have it here. Okay? Then we cannot perform the integration yet, the integral, because of this x here. We need to integrate this with dy. Okay, so dapat yung x. Okay, so sa atin kukunin yon from this equation, y squared is equal to 400x. Okay, x in terms of y. Function ng y, ano dapat siya? So x is equal to y squared over 400. By dividing both terms, by both sides of the equation by 400. Okay. To y squared over 400. Okay. So knowing that, substitute to the equation. So that is now equal to integral of y squared times 100 over 400 dy from 0 to 200, that is equal to integral of 100 times y squared minus y to the fourth over 400 dy. Okay, so that is from 0 to 200. Then evaluating that integral, it will give you the value of ix equal to 107 times 10 to the 6 millimeters to the fourth. Okay, and that's the answer. So question. So kung wala, if you want to solve for IY, o balata ko na sa inyo, you solve for IY, okay, you choose a vertical rectangular strip here. Okay, is the x and the height is y. Okay, so try to solve that one. No. So next, sample problem 10.3. Determine the centroidal x-axis for a circular area of radius A. So this is your area. Okay, so ang ginawa, kumuha ng rectangular, and that rectangular strip is touching the curve at this point and this point. Okay, where this point, the coordinate is at negative x and y, while this point is at xy. So therefore, the height of the rectangle or the centroid of the rectangle from the x-axis is y. Okay, then applying the equation, ix equal to integral of y squared dA, and equal to integral of y squared, and dA will be 2x times dy. Okay, so we need to replace x here by an equation, which is a function. Then x squared plus y squared is equal to a squared. You then solve for x, which is equal to what? Square root of a squared minus y squared. Okay, by its equivalent, square root of a squared minus y squared, we have it here is equal to integral of y squared times 2 times square root of a squared minus y squared dy. For the area is from negative a to a. Negative a to a. So that is equal to pi a to the fourth over 4. So this is quite a tedious. Okay, so matyaga, pwede namang evaluate, okay, using integral calculus. Okay, but that is not the focus of our lecture. Okay, so na lang, ang ganyan. Okay, and you solve for that, and that is pi a to the fourth over 4. Okay, so that's the answer. So that is the moment of inertia of the about the centroidal x-axis. Okay, and the moment of inertia about the centroidal y-axis, what do you think is the value of Iy here? So it is the same. Pi a to the fourth over 4. It's the same. Bakit? Kasi naman, yung section mo naman, pag kinat mo dito, parehas lang din dun sa section mo. So you'll get the same result. So Iy is equal to pi a to the fourth over 4 also. Okay? And the easier way of solving the moment of inertia of the circular area using polar coordinates. Okay? The one similar dun sa ginawa natin nung centroids. Okay? So ganun. So question? So mukhang wala namang question. Okay? So anyway, if you have questions, mag-chat lang tapos or mag-unmute. No? Okay, pwede naman natin balikan. Okay. So dito na tayo sa actual lecture. Okay, introduction lang 'yon. Dito tayo sa nile-lecture talaga natin. So 10.4 moments of inertia areas. So a composite area consists of a series of connected simpler parts or shapes such as rectangles, triangles, and circles. So provided the moment of change or can be determined about a common axis, then the moment of inertia for the composite area about this axis equals the algebraic sum of the moments of inertia of all its parts. Okay? So if you are okay, we already had a problem regarding composite areas from centroids, di ba? And yung ginagawa natin doon is we are cutting or dividing, okay, the area opposite parts na alam natin yung centroid. So in this case, we're going to divide the composite area into shapes na alam mo yung mga moment of inertia. Okay, so ganun lang siya. So ano lang siya, summation lang siya ng moment of inertia ng lahat ng parts. Okay? So that's it. So ang problema lang, dapat alam mo kung bawat common geometric shape. So for example, okay, itong circular sector area, since very uncommon, okay, so wag nang ikabisa rin. Ito na lang. So sa example, quarter circle. Okay, so moment of inertia of the quarter circle is Ix equal to 1 over 16 pi r to the fourth. Okay, so take note, this moment of inertia is x-axis. Okay, so what if you want to know the centroidal moment of inertia of a quarter circle? Okay, kasi yung moment of inertia na to, na 1 over 64, that is the moment of inertia with respect to this x-axis here. Eh, ang kailangan mo, centroidal moment of inertia. That is the moment of inertia with respect to this, passing through the centroid. Ganyan. X prime. Oh. Based on the lesson, okay, how can I solve for I bar x prime? Oh, of course, you can use integral to solve for I bar. There's a solution to solve for I bar x prime without using integral. And that is what? Okay, correct. The parallel axis theorem. Okay? So Ix, okay, is equal to bar the transfer term a dy squared. Okay? So yung Ix, meron tayong value nito, which is this. Meron tayong value nito, which is this. Okay? Yung dy, the distance of the centroid to the reference axis, where you're getting the value of this moment of inertia, ito yung dy, which is this. Nito at ito, yan solve for I bar x prime. And I bar x prime is equal to Ix minus area times dy squared. Okay. So yung I bar x is equal to, that is approximately equal to, okay, 0.055 r to the fourth. Approximately equal. Kung gusto mo ng exact, that is pi over 16 minus 4 over 9 pi r to the fourth. Okay? So this is the moment of inertia, okay, for centroidal, moment of inertia for a quarter circle. So ulitin paano kunin, okay, yung moment of inertia, centroidal. Okay? So take note, kaya pwede mong i-memorize tong mga to, yung mga formula na yan, but you should know how to utilize the formula. Okay? So hindi lang yung you have the formula tapos salpak ka lang ng salpak. Okay? So hindi ganun. Okay? Then if you have a semicircular area, Ix and Iy is also 1/8 pi r to the fourth and Iy is 1 pi r to the fourth. Okay? If you have a circular area, Ix and Iy will be 1/4 pi r to the fourth. So similar to quarter circle, this formula is with respect to the given x and y axis. If you want to solve for the centroidal moment of inertia, okay, so yung I bar x prime dito, 0.11 r to the fourth. But naging 0.11 r to the fourth? Doble ng quarter circle. Because the centroid of a semicircle is the same the quarter circle from the x-axis. Para silang 4r over 3 pi. So therefore, literal, pwede mong i-add yung moment of inertia ng dalawang quarter circle. 4 times 2. Okay? Kaya 0.11 r to the fourth. Okay? O how about I bar y prime? Okay. O anyone? Anong value ng I bar? That is the moment of inertia with respect to the centroidal y prime axis. So anyone? May makapagbigay ba ng value? Okay? So I bar y prime is the same with IY. Okay? So bakit sila same? Kasi yung y prime axis natin, same lang sa y axis. Okay? Kaya yung I bar y prime, this is the value here. Okay? And also, you need to take note of the orientation of the axis, no? Okay. Then, circular area, ito centroidal na rin. Angular area, as have been solved, Ix equal to 1 over 12 h cube, Iy is 1 over 12 hb cube. Okay? Then, for a triangular area, that's 1 over 36 b. Okay? So, yun lang. If you want to derive these equations, okay, here, the formulas, you can derive it using integration. Examples for that para alam nyo, yung, may idea kayo kung paano nagkuha yung mga formula. Kasi kung hindi, ang gagawin mo na lang, maniniwala ka na lang na may formula. Okay? The formula. Okay? So, mas madaling maintindihan yan kapag merong example. So, sample problem 10.4. Area shown about the x-axis. Okay? So, in this composite area, how many composite parts do you think we're going to have? Composite part magkakaroon tayo sa tingin nyo?
Dalawa, sir.
Dalawa. Correct. Okay? So, yung rectangle, yung circular area. Okay? So, from the introduction of the moment of inertia for composite area, it is stated there that the moment of inertia is to the sum of the moment of inertia of all the composite parts. Okay? So, meaning, to solve for the moment of inertia of this area here, okay, you need inertia of the two parts, which is a rectangle and a circle. So pag nakuha mo yung moment of inertia ng dalawa na yon about the x-axis, okay, get the sum, that is the moment of yeah. Okay? So let's solve for circle. Okay, so since the moment of inertia is will be getting about the x-axis, so take note, the centroid of the circle is here. Okay, so hindi lang centroidal. Okay? So, ano dapat gamitin? The parallel axis theorem. Okay? So, circle, Ix equal to I bar x prime plus I. Okay? So, that is equal to 1/4. Ay, may napindot. Okay, that is equal to 1/4. Okay, pi r to the fourth, your I bar x prime. So, that is the moment of inertia, centroidal. Dito. Moment of inertia dito. Plus the transfer term a times dy squared. So, area is, okay, ano yung dy? Distance of the centroid to the reference axis na kinukuha yung moment of inertia. Okay, so ito yung dy. Okay, so yung dy is equal to 75 and we need to square it. Okay, so from there, you can solve for Ix. That is equal to 11.4 times 10 to the 6. Okay, so that is for the circle area. Okay, now for the rectangular area, okay, so Ix equal to I bar x prime plus a dy squared. So time for rectangle is 1 over 12 times b times h cube. Kaya 100 times 150 cube. Plus area ng plus area times 150 times dy squared. Eh yung dy for rectangle is same with the circle. Okay? So 75 squared. 12.5 times 10 to the 6 millimeters to the fourth. Okay? Then, to solve for Ix prime. Okay, or yung Ix pala, sorry. Yung Ix mo. So it's the sum of the moment of inertia of the circle and rectangle. Okay, but take note, since yung circle is a circular hole, okay, you need, okay, kaya Ix equal to negative 11.4 times 10 to the 6 plus 112.5 times 10 to the 6. Okay, and the sum is 101 times 4, and that's the value of Ix. Okay, nasusundan ba?
Yes po.
Okay, so may question? So kung walang question, let's proceed to the next example 10.5. Okay. So determine the moments of inertia for the cross-sectional area of the member shown about the x and y centroidal axis. Okay. How many composite parts magkakaroon tayo? Okay, correct. Tatlo. Okay. Tatlo. So, yung composite parts natin will be this one. Okay. So, pero depende yan sa inyo. Ha? Depende kung paano i-end. Pero yung diskarte dun sa book is ganito. If I going to solve this problem also, I have this cutting section. Okay? So, meron tayong rectangle A, rectangle D, and rectangle. Okay? So, katulad na ginawa natin kanina, we just need to solve for the moment of inertia for each composite part. Okay? So, rectangles A and D, okay, since ano naman sila, parehas ng shape, parehas ng layo from the centroidal axis, they will give the same value of moment of inertia. Okay, so therefore, for rectangles A and D, Ix equal to R I squared. So that is 1 over 12 times B times H cubed for this rectangle. So B is 100 and height is 300 cube plus the transfer term ADY squared. So 100 times 300 times 200 squared. Okay? So ano yung 200? 200 is dy. So distance of the centroid, the left. So ang distance na to is 200. Okay? So Ix now is equal to 1.425 times 10 to the 9 millimeter to the 4th. Okay? Then yung Iy is equal to I bar prime plus ADX squared. So that is equal to 1 over 12 times H times B cube. So ang H ay 300, ang B is 100 cube. Plus the area times dx. So dx is the distance of the centroid to the reference axis. So which is 250 squared. So that is equal to 1.9 times 10 to the 9 millimeters to the 4th. Okay? So is for Ix and Iy of rectangles A and D. Okay? So let's continue. So yung rectangle B naman. So yung rectangle B, walang transfer term na ADY squared. Bakit kaya? So ano lang siya? Centroidal. Moment of inertia lang. Ba't kaya walang plus ADY squared and or plus ADX squared? Anyone? Kaya ang nilagay lang nyo, I bar x prime lang to. 1 over 12 times b times h cube. Iy is 1 for rectangle B. Okay, and the value is 0.05 times 10 to the 9 millimeters to the 4th, 1.8 times 10 to the 9 millimeters to the 4th. So ang tanong, bakit yung rectangle squared and ADX squared? Okay? So, kaya wala siyang ADY squared and ADX squared because, take note, dy and dx is the distance of the centroid from the reference axis. Eh, yung center sa reference axis, so yung value ng dx and dy is 0. Okay? Kaya wala siya. It coincides with the location of the origin. Okay? Kaya this one, I bar x prime. Okay? Then to get the moment of inertia, so you just get the sum. Okay, so since this is for rectangles A and B, you need to multiply 2. Okay, this is also need to be multiplied by 2. Okay, so Ix is equal to 2.9 times 10 to the 9 millimeters to the fourth, and Iy is 5.10 to the meters to the fourth. And those are the answers. Okay, question?
Wala po.
Wala po. Okay, yung boses parang antok na antok. Okay, so kung walang question, let's proceed to, ayan, para ganahan ka. Let's proceed to the last example. Ayan. Ito na natin. And matatapos na yung lecture. Ayan, para ganahan ka. Okay? And this example, ganitong problem yung binibigay ko usually sa exam. Okay? Although, di naman kayo mag-exam. Pero if ever lang. Okay? Ganyan yung binibigay ko sa exam. Okay? So, sample problem 10.6. Determine the centroidal moment of inertia, Ix prime and Iy prime of the shaded area. Okay? So, since we are looking for the centroidal moment of inertia, Ix prime and Iy prime, hindi naman yun yung axis na x and y dito. Okay? So, ano kailangan natin gawin? I-locate yung centroid. Okay? So, para tinilocate yung centroid, edi yung kung paano natin ginagawa nung chapter 9. Okay? So, we are going to divide the area in parts. We have 3 composite parts if we divide it here. Okay? So, first, we have a rectangle. Second, you have a triangle. And the third one, you have a circular area. Okay? Then, a principle of centroids, you're going to have this table. Okay? So, we have the area for each part. Then, you have the x curl, y curl, and the product A. Tatandaan siya, no? Okay? So, for the rectangle, the area is base times height. So, 200 times 300. So, this is the value, 60,000 square millimeters. For the triangle, 1/2 of 150 times 300. Okay? Then for the third one, area ng circle, so that's pi r squared. Okay? Of the negative sign here because this area needs to be subtracted. Okay? So get the summation. So we have summation of area, 64,829. Then for about x curl and y curl, okay, so x curl nito, so yung x curl, kung matatandaan, that is the distance of the centroid of the composite area from origin parallel to the x-axis. So if this is the centroid of the rectangle, ano yung distance nito from the origin parallel to the x-axis? So that is 100. Similar with circular area kasi nag-coincide yung centroids nila. Okay? Then yung for the second, the centroid is somewhere here. This distance is what? 1/3 of the base. Okay? Sabihin, 1/3 of 150. The distance should be from the origin. So you need to add this distance, which is 200. Kaya 250 to them. Okay? Then y curl is the distance of the centroid of the parallel to the y-axis. So, ibig sabihin, kung ito yung centroid ng rectangle and ng circle, ano yung distance nila from the origin? 150. Okay? Distance na to is 1/3 of the height. So, if the total height is 300, this 1/3 of the height is 100. Okay? So, may value ka na ng mga x curl and y yung product na ax curl and ay curl. Okay? So, by multiplying a by x, a by y, okay, you have the values here. Okay? Then get this sum, okay, ax curl and summation of ay curl. Okay? Then from there, you can solve for bar x and bar y, which is equal to square root of ax curl over summation of a, and bar y, which is square root of ay over summation of a. Okay? It gives the value of bar x and bar y equal to 152.06 and 132.65 millimeters. So, yun yung first step, location ng centroid. So, next naman, moment of inertia about the centroidal axis. Okay? So, nasaan yung centroid? So, yung centroid, okay? And pag nag-pass through ako ng axis through the centroid, that is your x prime and y prime. Okay? So, nandito yung centroid. So, ito si bar y, yung nasolve natin kanina. Okay? And the value of bar x, di ko nalagay dito. So, bar x is equal to 152.6. Okay? While bar y, okay, is equal to 132.65. Okay? Yan. Rx and bar y. Okay? So, yan yung location ng centroid. Now, how can we determine the moment of inertia about the centroidal x prime and y prime axis? So, we'll use the parallel axis theorem and get the sum of all the moment of inertia of each composite part. Okay? So, the formula for Ix and Iy is, so I bar x prime plus ADY squared, while Iy is bar y prime plus ADX squared. Okay? So, similar dun sa ginagawa natin nung is much easier if you're going to solve this using a table. Okay, so kumbaga, you have columns for what is required to solve for the Ix. So, the table looks like this. So, yung I bar x prime, okay, I bar x prime, so you have a column for I bar x prime and column for ADY squared, column for I bar y prime and for x squared. Okay, so meron tayo ditong column for A, x curl, and y curl. Okay. So, ano yung I bar x prime for area 1? So, for area 1, to 1 over 12 BH cube. Okay, so that is 1 over 12 times 200 times 300 cube. Base times the height cube. Solving this, ito yon, nandito sa column. Ito, okay? Then I bar x prime 2 is equal to 1 over 36 times 100. Okay? So that is I bar x prime 2. Okay? While yung I bar x prime 3, that is pi r to the 4th over 4. Over 4 times 75 to the 4th. Okay? So yung mga values nito, pag sinolve mo, nandito sa table na to. Okay? Ito. Yan. Okay. Okay? So, negative whole yan. Circular whole. Okay? So, nasolve mo na yung I bar x prime for each composite part. So, kunin mo lang yung sum. You have summation of I bar. The next naman is yung dy. Yung for dy. So, dy is the distance of the centroid to the reference axis. Kung saan kukunin yung moment of inertia. So, in this case, say muna is yung x prime. So, if this is the centroid of the rectangle, ano yung dy? Distance from the axis na kinukuha yung moment of inertia. So, ito yun. Now, so, ano yung dy? Okay? So, that is 150 minus this distance. But this distance is what? Bar y. Okay? So, sabihin, 150 minus 132.65. Kaya ang value niya, 17.35. Okay, so ang tanong, sir, bakit po negative yun sa inyo? Eh, di ba this naman siya minus 132.65? So, ang ginawa ko kasi, kapag ganyan yung solution ko na systematic, okay, kumbaga naka-table, ginawa ko na lang ng formula, yung dy, which is equal to bar y minus y. Kasi take note, yung itong 150 na to, na height na to, di ba? Itong distance na to, di ba yung y na to? 150. So, sabihin, yung is y. Okay, but take note, yung y minus bar y, same lang naman siya sa bar y minus y. But this is what? Negative in value. Since mas malaki yung bar y. They are equal but opposite in, they are with opposite signs. Okay? So yung y minus bar y, same lang siya with bar y minus y. Okay? So yun. So, sir, bakit po may negative sign? So it doesn't matter kasi pagdating naman dito sa next column, it's the product of area times dy squared. So since i-compare mo naman yung dy, it doesn't matter kung positive or negative siya kasi ang magiging result mo pa rin naman, positive. Okay? Or, for some peace of mind, yung negative sign na dy, since it is a distance, okay, pwede mo naman lagyan ng absolute. Okay? So, absolute value of bar y minus y. Okay? So, pag ganyan, ay yung mga negative sign. Okay? So, pero ganun lang siya. So, yung bar y na nasolve mo, minus y, okay, yun yung dy. So, 132.65. Okay? So, that is for dy. So, nung nasolve mo na yung dy, you can solve for a dy squared, which is just the product of area. So, area times dy squared. So, ito yung mga values na yun. Okay? Then, get the sum. So, you have summation of a dy. Ito yung value. Okay, next. So, pag meron ka ng value ng summation ng I bar x prime and summation of dy squared, okay, nako ha, masasolve na yung ix prime. The moment of inertia about the x prime axis. Okay? So, yun. Pero, ang gawin muna natin, ituloy muna natin yung mga contents. So, the next one is I bar y prime. Kasi kailangan natin siya dito. Okay? So, I bar y prime is the moment of inertia with respect to the y prime axis. Okay? So, for segment 1, that is 1 over 12 times h times b cubed based sa formula or based sa principle. Okay? So, I bar y prime 2, okay, is equal to 1 over 36 times h times b cubed. Okay? Bar y prime 3 is equal to pi over 4 times 25 to the fourth. Okay? So, similar lang dito. So, ito yung mga values na yon. Take note of the negative sign kasi nga, butas. Okay? Then, get the sum. So, we have summation of I bar y prime. Okay? Then, next naman is yung dx. Dx dito is the distance of the centroid, okay, to the reference axis na kinukuha yung moment of inertia. So, ito yung dx. Okay? So, paano figure? Dx is equal to what? Bar x minus x, 100. Okay? Kasi for segment 1, ito yung x, di ba? 100. Kaya pwede mo gawing bar x minus x. Okay, so take note, kapag mas malaki yung x compared to bar x, magne-negative yung sign. Okay, so for some peace of mind, lagyan mo ng absolute value. Okay? Pero pwede rin, sabi ko na, katulad sa ko kanina, it doesn't matter kung negative yung makuha mong value. Okay, basta numerically correct. Kasi it will be squared. Okay? So dx equal to bar x minus x. So bar x, 152.06. So minus x is 52.06. The other one, 152.06 minus 250. So that's 97.9 negative. So may value ka na ng dx. You can get the product of the area and the square of dx. Okay, so 60,000 times 52.06. So ito yung mga values na yan. Okay? So, nung meron ka ng ADX squared for each segment, you can get the sum. Summation of ADX squared. Summation ng ADX squared, summation ng I bar y prime, you can solve for IY prime. Kasi alam natin, okay, IX prime is equal to sa mga moment of inertia ng composite parts. Nakakuha ba? So, Ix prime is equal to summation Rx. So, is the sum of this and this. So, similarly, for Iy prime, it's the sum of this one and this one. Okay? And for that, the values for Ix prime and Iy prime will be as shown. Okay? So, Ix prime is 574,376,861 millimeters to the fourth, while Iy prime is 520,650. Okay? Millimeters to the fourth. So, that's the answer. So, do you nasusundan ba? Walang tanong. So, I hope nasusundan siya, no? Okay, so kung walang tanong, I'll stop the screen sharing and record. So, that's the end of our lecture for today. So, next week, wala tayong online meeting. Okay, but there will be a recorded video that will be uploaded on our. We are still using the same MS Teams. Okay? Kung gusto niyo malaman yung lecture natin last time, nandun lang sa MS Teams natin. So you can download it and rewatch. Sure na? Walang question? Okay. Question. Please turn your camera on, okay, para makapag-picture na tayo and you can take a nap. Sa tingin ko, antok na antok kayo kasi ito talaga yung patay na oras no? Sobrang nakakaantok yung ganitong oras. Kahit ako inaantok ako. Nakituturo ako ng nakapikit. Okay? Nakapikit ako habang tinitingnan ko lang kung ano yung magiging content no slide. Ako ng nakapikit. Okay? Kasi inaantok talaga ako. So, yun. Okay? So, kung walang question, let's have a picture. Oh, by the way, kung gusto nyong makapag-practice ng centroids and moment of inertia para mas masanay kayo, I would suggest na you can ask higher year. Okay lang kung walang camera. Minus 300. Okay? Hindi, joke lang. Okay? So, pwede kayo magtanong dun sa mga higher year, dun sa mga civil na naging estudyante ko before. So, you can ask them the exam. Try to reach them. No? Okay? Na kung pwede bang makahingi ng problem na by the way, so just to give an example, ito yung exam na binigay ko last year. Okay, so ito yung in-exam nila. Online class to. So, online class. Classroom exam. Okay. Ito siya. Yan. Nakita niyo ba? Okay. Yan yung area na binigay ko sa kanila. Composite area. So, ang pinapahanap dyan, madami. Ayan. Total area, centroid from the origin parallel to the x-axis, bar x, bar y, centroidal moment of inertia, ix prime and iy prime, centroidal polar moment of inertia, jo prime, subgyration, kx prime and ky prime, and volume generated if the area will be revolved about the y-axis. Okay, sabihin, ano yun? Pappus theorem. Okay? So, ganyan siya. Okay? Ayan. So, kumbaga, nakayanan yung mag-solve ng mga ganyang type ng problem, wala na. Sobrang dali na ng pagkuha ng centroids and moment of inertia. Okay? So, may question pa? Antok na. Okay? So, kung walang question, tatlong page, no? So, tatlong shot yung gagawin natin. So, tatlong beses kang ngingiti. Okay? So, yung first one is in 3, 2, 1, pasado. Yan. Ganyan dapat ang ngiti. Yan yung mga ngiting pumapasa. Okay? Save. Okay. Second, in 3, 2, 1, ngiting pasado. Okay. Yung iba, hindi 2.5 lang yung gustong grade. Okay, ganyan. Tapos yung third page, in 3, 2, 1, ngiting pasado. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So wala na kayong question. We are done. We can call it a day. And I'll see you when I see you. Kasi next will be a video that will be uploaded. Okay? So yun lang. So walang question. Ingatan lahat. Pataas pa rin naman yung COVID cases. Okay? So,
Thank you po.
sige, thank you then
Thank you,
for
sir.
attending the class.